pulled due to partner conflicts. Those were the words that changed everything for TNA wrestling. That was the explanation from TNA President Carlos Silva, relayed through Fightful, for why multiple TNA contracted wrestlers were pulled from independent bookings against AEW wrestlers. MJF versus Nick Nemeth at Creator Pro, cancelled. Leon Slater versus Ricochet at WrestleCon over Mania weekend, cancelled. Moose versus an AEW talent at MLP Multiverse, cancelled. MJF versus Bear Bronson at GCW, cancelled. No public press conference, no talent meeting, just gone. And the fallout was immediate. Before the partner conflicts became the phrase of the week, independent wrestling was one of the most important pipelines in TNA wrestling. Talent like Leon Slater weren't just wrestling AEW stars on the side. They were auditioning. Every match, on every independent show, was a chance to prove they belonged at that level. Ricochet, WrestleCon, the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Super Show. That's not just a booking. That is a stage. That is a spotlight. Over WrestleMania weekend, the most important weekend in professional wrestling year. The kind you can't manufacture inside a company that hasn't yet cracked 1 million viewers. Nick Nemeth, a former multiple-time WWE champion, booked against current AEW World Champion MJF at Creator Pro. The eyeballs alone are priceless for both men and for TNA. And then Friday, April 3rd, Moose's booking was approved for MLP Multiverse. But by Monday, April 6th, that decision was reversed. Something changed in that 72-hour window. Something that nobody is talking about in TNA. Dave Meltzer said what most of us in the industry were already thinking. Obviously, there has been heavy speculation that it was WWE forcing the hand of TNA. Everyone in wrestling thinks that's the case, but I cannot prove that's the case. But something must have happened between Friday and Monday to where they did an about face on all of those matches. And PW Insider offered a different explanation though, that TNA's concern was simpler and arguably worse. They didn't want their wrestlers losing to AEW talent on those shows. Think about that. The solution to protecting your brand was to ban your own people from wrestling. AEW World Champion MJF didn't hold back in his response on Busted Open Radio. He called out Carlos Silva, directly questioning anyone who chose to support TNA, and said that the company was pulling young talent off shows while, quote, barely paying them any money whatsoever. The wrestlers inside TNA are rightly frustrated. Fightful confirmed this. These aren't disgruntled outsiders talking. These are the people inside this locker room, people who liked those bookings, people who needed those bookings, and they had no say in that decision. Their president made one phone call, and here's what nobody in this conversation is talking about. This ban exists. So the question isn't whether it's fair. The question is rather, what does TNA do with this? Before the Monday Night Wars ended, territories ran house shows constantly in regional markets, local arenas, in front of sold-out crowds who never saw TV tapings but showed up for the live experience. TNA has a live event schedule for the rest of 2026, including several pay-per-views such as Slammiversary and Bound for Glory. The shows exist. Now is the time for TNA to use it. Run house shows in markets that TNA doesn't often go to. Staff them with experienced talent, Frankie Kazarian, Eric Young, and veterans who can carry a match and elevate anybody, then fill those cards with independent wrestlers. Not necessarily AEW wrestlers, but homegrown or unsigned talent. Give them a TNA ring. Give them the opportunity. Give them a TNA crowd, a TNA match. That is a pipeline. That is a developmental system with a budget. And then there's Xplosion, TNA's second show. Currently available on TNA Plus for subscribers, YouTube, as well as some international markets. The show exists, but the question is what you do with it. Right now, Xplosion is supplemental content. Enhancement matches, mostly filler. But it doesn't have to make it the proving ground to give unsigned independent talent matches against established TNA names on camera. Produced broadcast, not dark matches before a taping. A TV show. Xplosion becomes TNA's version of what NXT Black and Gold was. A place where you can go to earn main roster call-up. Not a YouTube afterthought. The ban on the AEW crossover matches closes one door, but it forces TNA to look inwards, to build something, to invest in the next Leon Slater. Not borrow AEW's spotlight to get noticed, but create their own spotlight and aim it at the people that they are developing. When Carlos Silva said partner conflicts, he set the wrestling world on fire. But the real conflict isn't between TNA and AEW. It's between what TNA is at the moment and what it could become. House shows, Xplosion, a real pipeline. That's not a consolation prize for making this decision. Rather, it's a blueprint. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm John, and thank you for watching Sudden Impact, the premier destination for news and analysis about TNA wrestling. Subscribe to view our full catalog of videos and ring the bell to get updates on any new content. And we'll see you next time.